time to stop because, you know, drummers can relate, right? Yeah, so, I don't know, do we have any questions already, Jim? Okay. And we're going to have Paul Francis up soon, too, also. Take questions.
Let me say again, Bill Stewart. And the first question I really kind of think is funny. This is from Aaron Martin, and the question is to you: how is it humanly possible to swing as hard as you do?
So, well, that's in the try to make whatever music that I'm involved in. Good feeling that'll make you want to dance. It's energy, but it's also like relaxed. Something has energy at all, but also is relaxed and comfortable. A lot of what I do is play with bands. You know, it's mostly what I do. It's rare that I show up somewhere and play drums by myself. But it's fun to do this too. I'm enjoying this. Mostly what I do is play drums for bands, and the main thing is to make the music sound good, you know. Energy, or give it whatever intuitively you think that it needs. And I work with it. It's different. And it's different chemistry. So I'm always trying to swing or hit a groove or however you want to put it. But I appreciate the compliment.
Well, it sounds to me, I think maybe everyone here, the playing seems inviting. For other musicians, hear what you're doing, but it sounds like there's people come on into this.
Okay, yeah, well, thank you. Seeing them play live was a whole other thing, you know. His drumming is very visual. But it seems like each drummer has, you know, his or her own body language too, that sort of goes with how they sound.
Well, which kind of leads into this question. This is from Zachary Bratton. It says, beside famous drummers you just mentioned, who were some drummers or musicians that influenced you as a drummer?
Besides
musician.
Besides drummers.
Yeah, besides drummers.
Oh, well, you know, I listen to all kinds of music. Well, not all kinds of music, but I listen to different things, and I mean, they're jazz artists. That would be important to me. People like Miles Davis. So many people. I could name names. I thought were important. From Detroit, but she was born in Memphis. Oh, okay.
Okay, here's another question. This is from Brian Kaler. What sort of characteristics do you look for? And what is it about that one with the children?
Okay, sure. Well, that's a two-part question. The first part, well, I love cymbals, you know, and it's like cymbals are kind of like people, you know. You have to appreciate each one for what's good about them, you know, because I'd hesitate to say that I only like a certain kind of cymbal, although my ride cymbal is a certain kind of cymbal, okay, but I like other people's cymbals that are different kinds of cymbals too, sometimes if they're good cymbals. But I think overall, I mean, I look for something that responds to the way I play, that I can get a lot of different sounds out of, that I can ride on, that I can crash on, that has a bell sound, and has good definition, because I like to hear the rhythm that I play on it. So, I mean, cymbals I pick tend to not be super washy or super dry either. They have like a balance of wash and definition, hopefully. And I tend to like darker sounding cymbals, complex overtones, kind of darker, almost more Eastern sounding overtones. Some of these cymbals, like this cymbal, has interesting overtones, for instance. Things going on in there. And I do like cymbals that are fairly dark. So that was the first part of the question. What was the second part?
The second part I'll get to, but I noticed today when you were picking out cymbals in the cymbal vault here, recording from mycymbal.com, it was interesting to watch you react to different cymbals. I mean, same model cymbal, but each one is unique.
Yeah.
And it was just interesting to watch you react. And
you can see which ones I like. Yeah.
And right, which ones you like and which ones you don't, and pull those sounds out. So,
yeah, it's fun. It's fun to play cymbals, and it's fun to. I get to do that at the factory sometimes. I go through like 20 of the same cymbal, and that's interesting. Because they all are a little different. Each piece of metal is different. But that's part of the fun of it. I think it would be boring if they all sounded exactly the same.
Well, the second part was, what about the one with the chip in it?
Oh yes, the one with the chip in it. That I used on a lot of records, especially in the 90s. Let's see, I bought that cymbal in New York in about 1990, and at that time it didn't have the chip. Oh, it had a tiny little chip. But then, I played it on some of my early records, and I took it on the road, and in about 1992 or 3, it cracked. It got a big crack, and the cymbal just died. It just had no sound. But then I took it to the drum shop, and they cut a chunk out for me, and the cymbal sort of recovered most of what it had. Actually, it sounded very similar to what it was before. It's a great cymbal. It also has another crack in it now. It has like a little chunk, and then it has a crack on the other side. The cymbal stays mostly in the closet, but once in a while I will get it out and play it, and it still plays. But if I start taking it on all my gigs, it's going to be dead right away.
Reminds me a bit of Mel Lewis.
Yeah, well, Mel Lewis had an A that had a chunk out of it, right? Yeah, that's the famous cymbal too. Sometimes, if there's a crack in a cymbal, sometimes you can cut it away, and the cymbal sounds good again, or you can drill a canal, like file it out, or maybe it's better to let somebody do it who's a repairman who's to do with that. But yeah, that's one of my favorite cymbals, but it's one of those that's it's on its last legs.
Okay, we have a question from the audience. No?
The question was, we're talking about cymbals and maybe.
Yeah, that might be a good time for Paul, because he's the expert.
What was the inspiration? I fell in love with this cymbal with your Schofield in Paris, I believe, last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I probably had that same one. Yeah.
The great DVD. I fell in love with that cymbal. What was the motive to go to a drier sound? Was it your own broken crack cymbals with that drier type sound that you had these after? Was this a whole new sound you had?
I'd say the cymbals that I made with Zildjian are in many ways similar to the to the cymbals I had like when I was first playing around, but which might have been different. I had some older cymbals that I was playing. Over here I had one that I played for a long time, and it cracked. But I think we just tried to get this.
Here's a question we might ask you to maybe demonstrate a bit. This is from Gon Amir. Information on up-tempo playing, specifically ride playing. And he says Bill has a unique push-pull style. And it would be great to get into detail about it.
Okay. Yeah, I worked on playing all different tempos, including fast tempos on a cymbal, and getting the clarity and definition, and being able to hear what's going on rhythmically. Mainly, I went for the sound that I want, but I have a certain technique, I suppose, and I hesitate to say that my technique is what people should emulate, because it might be slightly unconventional too. So I never push my technique on anyone, but I play with a thumb up grip, which is fairly common actually. You see some people playing like this, and actually, until I was about 20, I played more like this. And actually, I was in Iowa, still in my first year of college, and a drummer you maybe know, Steve Houghton, came through, and he said, you might want to think about turning your hand up like this. You might get a better sound out of the cymbal that way. So, a little while went by, and I kept experimenting with that, and also I think I got a different cymbal, because I got one that was real thin, and that you had to really kind of get the definition and projection. You had to work to get it to project and to be clear. So I had to work on playing that one cymbal. And I think that's when I really settled on whatever technique I have. But so if I were to practice playing fast tempos, I would practice, playing different dynamics. Like play fast, real soft is hard, for instance, to go, practice different dynamics from there to. By this, I don't know if your camera can see this, but that's just a technique where you get, this is like the where everything centers, but I get kind of two strokes for one in a way. So it's like I drop it and then I kind of, and that's how I can, the notes to be clear. Otherwise, if I didn't do that, if I played like this, for instance, it would sound.
Stick on the cymbal sound. Is that something to do with that thumb on top, or?
I think I can get that without the other fingers, I think. When I go up like this. And if I squeeze harder, I get more of it. Like if I squeeze real hard at this point, then I'll get more of that sound. Specific pitches exactly, you know. Although when I tune it in drums, it ends up being about the same thing because I go for a certain sound. But like today, I came in here and this is Jim's set, but I came in and I tuned it a little different, and I did that fairly quickly. But I just tune the drums in a range that I like to hear them in. First of all, generally, like it's a 12 and a 14, so I sort of know I can come in and sort of just tap and tune, and almost without hitting it with a stick, and get them sort of in the ballpark, and then. Certain drums might not resonate well in a certain register, so if that's the case, I might experiment with like a little lower tuning on this drum, or a little higher. I might experiment a little bit to see where a sweet spot is, where it resonates more and sounds like a hardware box or something. But like, if I had more drums, I think if I played a bigger set, I'd be maybe more concerned with like what the scale was, or what the actual notes were. This ends up being about anywhere from a fourth to a fifth for me usually. That's how I can try That's kind of the ballpark that my tuning is usually in with these sizes. But some drummers do actually really tune to specific pitches, and I know.
Get more enjoyment playing with or new gigs with different people. What's the difference?
Hopefully both, but yeah, I mean, I stick with situations that I really love. Larry, playing with Larry would be one of those things. With his trio, Field for a lot of years, off and on. Other people that have had longer relationships musically with too. So I'm not always playing with the same band all year long. And actually, when I play in a situation that's new to me and when it's fun, I love that, because I always feel like it's fresh, and it might bring out something different in my playing, or it might be just very different. It's good to do different things, and as long as it's a different thing that I enjoy. Occasionally I try new things that maybe I realize not the right spot for me or something too. That happens too. But yeah, of course I like to keep it fresh and like to keep doing new and different projects, and playing with different musicians that I enjoy. So I like both.
Okay, here's a question from GUSPUS online. He wants to know, what are the biggest challenges and inconveniences of being a jazz drummer of your stature in New York City?
I don't really feel inconvenienced. Sometimes I travel, and I do a lot of touring. So that part, sometimes that's really the hard work of what I do, because I'll go to Europe and do like 25 gigs in 28 days in different cities, like call it a dartboard tour, and so you might have to make 2 flights and a 3-hour bus ride and play that night, and then get up at 4:30 and do it again the next day. hopefully it's not like that all the time. We try to avoid it, but sometimes the traveling is a little, I don't know if I'd say inconvenient. It's just kind of, it's sleep deprived. Like the one I use a lot is. The spot you hit it is a little different. The same with the cymbals, like all the different, difference between sound. But not have to hit it anymore. Yeah, I try to think about all the different sound possibilities and create variety and maybe some dramatic effects. If there's a place in the music for it. Thank you.
And Paul and I will share this microphone. And first question is, and he says that enormous right side dry ride is sick. What is it?
This.
Yeah, it's a 22-inch K-Custom Dry Complex 2. It's one of the earlier ones because it has no printing on it, so it's probably one of the prototypes that we developed. And the difference between the cup shape and the design of the cymbal to put in the Complex 2, which had a different sound. It wasn't as harsh. It was a smoother sounding cymbal, and a lower shaped cup gives you some lower pitches, not as high. So that's what this cymbal is too. And you notice on the bottom, there's a ring that's unlathed, and the bottom side of the cup is unlathed too. That unlathed ring on the bottom helps keep the cymbal a little bit more controlled. So that's what that's all about. So
a little less bright.
A little less bright, right. So I hope I wasn't too long-winded. Okay.
And that does remind me, because Bill Stewart has been here before, because at last year's Cymbal Summit, John Riley, they brought your cymbal, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember the cymbal. Okay, here's another question about particularly what you have today. This was from Wellesley 1. He says, fabulous flat ride, what is it?
Again, I don't remember if Bill was in or he contacted me or he had heard about this cymbal. The flat ride is just a K-light flat ride, and this one happens to be on the thinner side of the spec. All cymbals, when we make them, have a weight range, and this one's on the lower end. And Bill asked me to just pick out a nice one.
Yeah, I asked you for trashy.
The trashy one.
I heard some. Yeah, I know. I heard some at the artist
in New York.
Yeah, and I liked them, and I just give me one of those. And you did. I mean, it's just a nice trashy one. It has a great crash actually, which is unusual for a flat.
Yeah, and I was actually commenting on how we did kind of sound check earlier. It had a fantastic crash sound. Where a lot of flat rides they go clang.
I had musicians play this in this exact position on the gig, and the piano player very much liked this. Really loved it.
That's fantastic.
Well, thank you very much. We're going to take a break right now, have a little short commercial break, and we come back. We've got a lot more questions.
I'm Paul Francis. I'm Research and Development Director for the Zildjian Cymbal Company, and I'm here at the world-famous Memphis Drum Shop, and I'm in probably the world's largest cymbal room if you don't work at a cymbal factory. And what I'm holding here is a 22-inch K. Constantinople Renaissance ride that was made in conjunction with Adam Nussbaum. And on the cart behind me are some limited time offer cymbals, part of our Rarities program, that you can purchase on mycymbal.com. Now, one of the interesting aspects about this K. Constantinople is that Adam and I spent several years designing this, and it has a very shallow bell, very fine lathing, The underside of the bell has no lathing, and that helps with the stick definition. It has 3 rows of overhammering and 4 areas of cluster hammering, with it lends itself to some dirtiness in the sound of the cymbal. And all of the rarities that are here at Memphis Drum Shop from mycymbal.com have been tested, signed by Adam, and also special stamped by Adam. Adam puts the stamp on all of his personal cymbals. So you can get these highly personalized Renaissance rides at mycymbal.com. And I welcome you to check out this website and see these new offerings from Zildjian. Thanks. I'm Paul Francis. I'm the Director of Research and Development for the Zildjian Cymbal Company. I'm standing in the cymbal storage area of Memphis Drum Shop, and behind me is a cart full of limited time offer Rarities cymbals from Zildjian. And the one that I'm holding is a 19-inch K-Custom Special Dry Crash Ride. Now, when Zildjian introduced the Special Dry Crashes a few years back, we didn't have a 19. And part of the limited time offer, we thought a nice 19-inch crash ride would be a good addition to the series. And the top is fully hammered with 2 different distinct types of hammering, and it's got a scoring on the top to keep it nice and dry. And on the back it is fully lathed, very similar to how an A custom or a K would be lathed. It has a great stick articulation and dry crash qualities. The addition of 2 or 3 rivets would give it a little extra sustain. So I welcome you to check this out on mycymbal.com.
Another live at mycymbal.com. And today we have, again, the second half, the fabulous Bill Stewart.
some more questions, or?
I highly suspect he's a Tony Williams fan.
Okay.
His
Me
name-
too.
His name is Tony R. Us.
Ah.
So
Okay.
he wants to know, what is your favorite jazz ride pattern to use?
What is my favorite jazz ride pattern to use? Well, I don't use any one over and over again. I tend to mix it up. Jazz, I mean, yeah, I don't have
But
a
if there
favorite.
was, if I said play a Bill Stewart jazz ride pattern, what comes to your?
I could play different tempos, and I might play a little differently one day than another. For instance, like I might play it more even or more swung, depending on my mood, or I might play it real even, like. I might play it. That's just one tempo. But I don't have a favorite pattern as far as a rhythm that I play that's set. I mean, I guess people think of kind of the basic jazz pattern as ting 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 ting, but we play all variations of that. And when I'm in 4, I play in 3, and when I'm in 3, I play in 4, and I like to mix it up most of the time. And sometimes I'll just play a straight pattern too. Sometimes quarter notes are good, Just a lot of quarter notes can be good. Intuitively, I think I try to within the music that I play, I try to find what works best, And also, like how hard you play the cymbal might affect how it feels. Like if you play the cymbal light, that has a different feeling for the music than if you play it hard. So there's no set favorite pattern.
Well, you mentioned something, and I think everyone hears that too. Hear that 3 when you're playing 4.
Okay.
Hear that 3, and it just gives it this beautiful lilt.
Okay. Well, I'm hardly the first to do that. I mean, Elvin Jones was one of the main people who took that and ran with it. But yeah, I like to do that kind of thing.
And this is from 1K285. His question is, I noticed that you use mostly French grip on your left hand. For me, it's hard to get accents like that. How do you
Okay.
think about an accent?
I have noticed that certain things, like a lot of jazz drummers play traditional grip. And I think when they hit an accent, sometimes the angle of the stick changes too. Like they might play. Also, I think the stick tends to be further off the drum. I think match grip players sometimes have trouble getting accents. I noticed that when match grip players who play jazz sometimes comes out too much the same. But I do something with my grip where I get it up a little higher, where I can get where the stick's not always hitting at exactly the same angle. And I think that maybe makes a little different sound, but a good thing to do is to play out of snare drum etude books that have good dynamics where you have to make accents, to play it properly. I don't know which book, but Portraits in Rhythm is one that has a lot of dynamics and stuff. I remember that. So that might be good for working on accents, and also playing stick control or rudiments and making accents. I think it's just something I have to work on and experiment with how to bring it out. By French, what do you think he means? Like thumb up. Yeah. So maybe he has better luck like this. I mean, I don't have any problem with someone playing like this either, because I see that too, and people getting good results. So whatever works, But there should be a way to get the accents with this too. I just need to take some practice.
Okay, this question is obviously from a Zildjian guy. His name is Avidus man.
Uh-huh.
So, and this is Sebastian from Germany. And his question is, how do you structure your solos? He asks, what should one play, what better not? I think what he means is, you choose to play as opposed to what you choose to not play.
Well, a lot of times when I play a solo, it's on some kind of a form. Even with the groups that I tend to play with, so it might be on a song form. It might be on a 32-bar form, or 20-bar form, or a 12-bar blues form, or something like that. So, and I may or may not have other people playing at the same time, like so. In those cases, then I have to adhere to the structure of the song. In which case, I think maybe try to make some melodies or develop some ideas. But every night would be different. Usually, I don't plan anything out as far as soloing. So one night might be very different than another. Sometimes what happens before a drum solo in the music, or what's happening through the night, might affect what I do during my solo. It probably would. Like, if the music's been really intense for a while or something, I might play a soft drum solo, or vice versa. It might have something to do with where I hear the music going when it gets to that part of the music too. Sometimes I get inspired by just like one or two sounds too. Like I might where I start a solo. It's important how I start it to me, because then if it starts in a way that's interesting to me, then it's easier for me to develop. If it doesn't start in a way that's interesting, it's harder for me to develop a good solo. I think I have to try to catch up or something. I might think of just. I might think of this. That might be my idea for my solo. Just this feeling of playing over this part of the drum set. I can build a short solo around that, and save the things over here for another drum solo or another night. I try to develop my ideas and my solos so I conserve them. So I don't. If I develop one or two ideas, then and save more ideas for some other time. I do hear some drummers, less experienced drummers, who play all their stuff on solo. There's nothing left after that. So and I think it's more musical to do it that way in most cases. So,
do you hear like sometimes it's too close to doing that? Some nights to recognize? In other words, do you recognize some of your own playing?
Sometimes by the end of the tour, I'm sick of my playing. That can happen.
But it isn't a bad thing.
I mean, it's inevitable, but I try to keep it fresh. But yeah, of course, I end up playing some of the same ideas and things, but not in the same spots. Maybe in different spots, in a different order, or slightly differently, or I don't know. Yeah, of course. It's interesting what happens in the moment, creatively, because if you're thinking about it too much, it won't happen. So it just you just have to. It's hard to describe that process. I wrote a tune called "Think Before You Think." Actually, I think that's sort of what I was thinking about. But, anyway,
just let it lead you.
It's like a conversation too. It's like speaking. It's like you don't have a lot of talking with somebody. You don't have a lot of time to think about what it is. Just there you go.
Question from the audience? Yes, Brian?
This is one-on-one soloing. Do you ever switch time signatures during your solos? And if so, how do you?
Can I play by myself like what I just did now? Yeah, sure. I feel free to play any time signature. I don't feel like has to be a bar line in any way. But yeah, if that's the case, like something like this. But if I'm playing with a group, usually they expect it to be. Usually it's a song that's in a certain time signature or something, and then I adhere to that. So. Oh yeah. If it's an open solo, then I can do what I want. I might take it out of time. I might play free. I might play. Yeah. Then I feel like I just need to get the band back in somehow. However that happens. If I'm supposed to play time or there's a cue or something. But yeah, if it's a free solo, then I feel free to play part of it in time or maybe several different tempos in one solo. That's fun. I like to do that. I like to contrast different tempos, and that can make a nice thing in a solo to play around with some different tempos or some different time signatures in a free way. Yeah. So, yeah.
One more question. Do you mind going around and talking about your cymbals?
Okay. Sure. Well, I'll talk about them. I'll talk about them briefly now. I think we talked about them a little bit. The main ride cymbal is, as we said before, it's a K Custom Dry Complex Ride 2, and anyway, you see it has the lathing strip underneath, which keeps the cymbal a little more contained, a little drier, and a little less bright. And it has one rivet. I like one rivet. One rivet does enough for me in most cymbals. I have one in the flat ride too. This is, what do you call this again? This is a K-Light flat, and it has one rivet as well. This is a sort of the sibling for this cymbal. It's the 20-inch version of the K Custom Dry Complex Ride. And, with these, we didn't go with the lathing strip like on the 22 because I felt like these would open up a little better without that. But it does have a scratch lathing on the bottom, which leaves a little of a crust that you might see like on an unlathed cymbal. So that keeps the cymbal maybe a little bit more controlled than if we were just lathed normally on each side. But these have the same bell, and they're just different sizes. My hi-hats are an unmatched pair of a prototype. It's not exactly anything. Okay, it's basically a K constant on top, and it's actually more of a bottom cymbal because it's heavy. The one on top is very heavy, and the cymbal on the bottom is actually a top, but it's a K custom special dry top. I guess I just arrived at this from trying different cymbals together. And these had the especially the sound that I like with the foot, which I like it to be very crisp, I like it to go instead of, I like it to be very definite, So, it has that. It has a nice warm open sound. Like it has nice overtones, it's kind of dark. And actually, even though the cymbal on top is pretty heavy, I like playing it with the stick. That's what those are. And this little cymbal over here is something that Paul was nice enough to make for me, and he made me a couple of them. And they're pretty similar, but it's a little. Is this made from sheet metal? It's brass. It's brass. Oh. It sounds about like that. It's a great little sound. So it's not available in stores currently. Who knows? If you get enough requests for it, maybe mass produced. But so that's what those are. Anyway, I'm having fun playing them. So, but Paul makes those, so that's his great work.
Okay, a couple of questions that I'm going to mention, but I don't want you to answer.
Okay.
you'll understand. You have to do some comedy in the show, right?
Comedy, yeah.
Okay. And maybe this will give you a little inspiration for your next solo.
Okay.
So this question is from Bag Rules. Bill, are you from another planet, or did you sign a deal with the devil to play like you do? And this one is from Garrett Jones. How do magnets work? See, this could help you on your next solo.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, now to another question. This is from Edward12341, and he says that you said once in an interview that you prefer to go just straight on at a gig, no sound check, no warm up, no nothing. Is that?
You kind of like that. Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah, I don't really warm up before gigs. I don't have a pad backstage or something. Sometimes the most fun I have playing is the sound check. Actually, I just because I haven't played all day, and there's no audience, and it's just kind of loose, and I kind of love that. But if something I've noticed on days like when we arrive late or there's no time for sound check, I noticed an extra freshness about it. So this goes back to, well, we were talking about the creative process and how do you get ideas when you play and stuff, but somehow I feel like I have more of a clean slate kind of feeling if I haven't been playing right before the gig, or for me to work on technical exercises or something backstage doesn't put me in the headspace that I would like to be in, which is not thinking about music until I really get on stage. But that's just a personal preference because I know great drummers who I see warming up backstage on pads and stuff. So no disrespect intended towards anyone who does that. And maybe if I had a certain kind of gig where I had to play like 30-minute fast tempo at the beginning of the gig or something, maybe I would want to warm up or something. That could change. And maybe as I get older, I'll want to warm up. I don't know how that's going to all work out, but that's pretty accurate.
Here's one from Sam Drum. Bill, could you talk about how you developed your internal timekeeping?
I guess you hear the space between the beats, but you hear longer spaces too. You hear the space of a 4-bar phrase, the space of a 8-bar phrase, everything in between. So I'm trying, whether I'm playing a fast tempo, I'm also hearing slow tempos. If I'm playing a slow tempo, I'm hearing faster subdivisions going by. That's part of it. There's another kind of thing that players like Jackie Jeanette and Elvin Jones do, where they play like a solo maybe in a 3 or 4 bar space where it sounds asymmetrical, it sounds almost free, but they're keeping time, So that's something to work on too, but you could do that with a tape recorder. You just check yourself, trade eights with yourself and take it far out and see where you're at. The tape won't lie, but you could get better at doing that way, about hearing a space of time accurately without making each beat. I don't know if that's part of what the person had in mind with the question, but another thing is working on internalizing song forms, so that you don't have to think about them, because the song form is a space of time. So the sections are a space of time. So to be able to play things against that without losing the form, that's something that just takes a lot of, I think, practice, and you need to work on that. So that's a lot. Whenever I do I do any teaching with students with ensembles or something, that's a hard thing to teach, to teach people to stay on the form. But I'd say practice, just continual practice is the best, the best way to do that. And also for drummers, I think it's good if they understand other things that are going on in the music other than just the drums. If they understand what the piano player is doing, if they understand what the bass player is doing, or at least understand something about it. And it's helpful for drummers to play like another instrument, like piano or guitar, or to help understand like song form, song structure, that kind of thing. So I guess I would recommend all those things.
Obviously, it's a great help to know the song and the form. But what happens? What do you do when, okay, you don't know the song, you don't know the form, 1, 2, 3?
Ah, okay. Well, I might have to just listen. And react. But if I have music, oftentimes if I'm playing a gig and that's the case, I might have a piece of music. So if you can learn how to read music and learn how to look at a lead sheet like the piano player would play, they can just hand you the lead sheet of the song. It's not a drum part, just like like an outline of the tune. If you can follow that and internalize that as quickly as possible. But I do that a lot, and I do that at rehearsals, of course, all the time. So it's good to be a quick study, or and I think experience doing that makes you quicker. If you've done 1,000 rehearsals with all the different kind of music, then you're going to get better at the next time. It's going to become easier to not get confused or lost. But if you do get lost, you got to get good at finding your way back into it too. So sometimes it's fun to be lost.
Okay, and this is from Bag Rules. Could you recommend some recordings?
Of what kind of blue is good?
Recommend some recordings
that I'm on, or that well, let's see. I have on my own. I have 5 CDs that I've made. Some of them are not available very easily. But I have one that's available on cdbaby.com. That's Keynote speakers. It's with 2 keyboards and drums. Also, the same band is available on a record called Incandescence, on Pirouette Records, which is a German label. In the 90s, I did a couple records on Blue Note. I believe they're both out of print, so find a used copy. I've done a lot of recordings with John Scofield. I recommend any of those. A couple of my favorites would be What We Do, Hand Jive. A lot of other artists I played with. Larry Golding's made several records with him. Records with Pat Metheny, Maceo Parker, all kinds of different people. And I could recommend recordings by other people, but that you could be here all day. Top 5? Oh, gee. Well, I definitely take something from the Miles Davis Quintet in the 60s with Tony Williams. I definitely have to take 1 or 2. Might take something with Miles and Gil Evans too. I'd probably take some classical recording. Maybe, I don't know. Good recording of the Rite of Spring would be fine on the island, the island with my 5 records. Maybe an Aretha Franklin record. Well, if I pick one of those, I don't know which one I picked. I'll take Live at Fillmore West.
Here's another question. This is from J.D. Stick. And he's asking if you would please play just a short, something similar to your just opening, yet using traditional grill.
No, because I don't play traditional grill.
Okay, I think we talked about the grill, but maybe that's what he wanted.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I can play a little traditional grill. I mean, mean, to me, traditional grip does get a different sound. And I've never been good at playing it, so that's why I don't play it or don't really want to demonstrate it. But I mean, certain things are easier with brushes, actually. Certain movements, like going like clockwise when you're swirling, it's much easier with traditional grip. With match grip, it's a pain because you know, the wrist doesn't move the same way, and you end up going into your body, and it's really awkward. Which is why I play counterclockwise, because I have all this room to go out here, and I'm not going into my body. So that's one difference for me. But I can't really play well with the traditional grip, so I hesitate to demonstrate anything.
This is from Rohan Moore. What would you count as the best advice you've ever offered?
I've ever offered. That's a tough one. I don't know. I'm not sure I can answer that one. Really,
Okay, well, here's one you can't answer either, probably, or maybe you can. It's interesting reading all these questions from our viewing audience. This one says, "Do you like tacos?"
Depends on the taco. In my neighborhood in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, yeah, very good.
And this is on the record Stairway to Stars by the New York Trio.
Okay.
What prompted the brushes only concept? This is from Edward 12341. It says it's an incredible record. Just how do you approach brush playing?
Well, yeah, that's I've made 7 records for the Japanese under the name New York Trio. It's mainly led by Bill Stewart. That's another trio, an American trio, with Kenny Washington on drums. But we did some trio records. We did, I think, 7. With Japanese. Jay Linhart is the bassist, and it's interesting because we don't really do gigs or go on tour. We've just done these records, and they're all standards. They're all like one CD is all Cole Porter. I think another one is all Richard Rodgers. And I think another one's all Irving Berlin. And some of them mix up some of those same people. I think I didn't go into the date thinking, well, I'm just going to play brushes on this, but brushes were just working, and we were playing different tempos and some ballads, and it turned out that there's a couple of those records I think that I only play brushes on, and I enjoyed that. I mean, it's different than other things that I do. Like with John Scofield, I don't play very much brushes. For instance, I might play brushes on a ballad with him, but not too much otherwise. That's partially a volume thing, because he plays pretty strong and needs support. So with the brushes, I feel like it's not the right texture or sound sometimes. So, but with the piano trio, the brushes are really, I could play the whole record on them. And there's some of those records where I play some sticks too, but I enjoyed making those records, and I think, when I knew the records were coming and they were like, a few days in advance, I'd practice more brushes than I normally would or something, just to have my head in that space.
Okay, here's a question from Justin Kruger. Do you actually use your signature sticks, drumsticks?
Oh, okay.
And I might add, does it affect your sound?
I have used them, and I did use them for a while. Currently, I'm using John Riley's stick, which is also a Social stick. That's what I'm using today. I like them a lot. I like my stick too. It's a lighter stick. My stick is very good. The one with my name on it is very good for playing thinner cymbals. Now this cymbal is maybe a little thicker than ones that I've had in the past. When I played that stick, it was really good for playing some really thinner cymbals that without having them wash out. Get a very clear sound. Also good for playing like quiet gigs. So as I understand it, quite a few people like my model stick, so it's a good stick, so they kept it in the catalog.
Okay, well, how about let's bring Paul Francis back up.
Okay.
So, to kind of load the question here right off the bat to you, Paul, in front of you, Bill, and the world. But this was from 1K285. Why did Zildjian discontinue the K Custom Dry Complex? They are awesome.
Well, I totally agree. They are awesome. The way that Zildjian looks at cymbals and cymbal making, it's very, very dynamic. When Bill's first generation cymbals came out, we sold about 700 in the first 6 months, which is unheard of. I actually had to check the figures 3 or 4 times, and then I went up to the front office in the factory and verified it again with the finance department, because I still didn't believe it. But what happens is cymbals go through cycles, old sounds are new again, and what happens over time is that the people that wanted that sound, they bought it. And, sometimes you need to make room in the catalog for new sounds that we're working on. Right now we're working on stuff that you might not see until 5 years from now. We're constantly working on ideas. The sales of the product also, affect whether or not we keep something in the catalog. We're running a business, and we don't want to make cymbals that people don't currently want to buy. So that's reviewed all the time. If I can use a funny analogy, since I have 3 kids, I'm one of the people in the company. I speak for the cymbals. I'm the Lorax. If anybody knows the Dr. Seuss story. I'm the one that's defending, what should be taken out and what should be kept in, and the reasons why. But right now we're working on some really, really great cymbals with, Kenny Washington, Adam Nussbaum, and if we kept everything in the catalog that we made, the catalog would be, 1,000 pages long. And, like I said, old sounds are new again. For a long time there was a resurgence in big cymbals with smaller setups. So it's very cyclical, and you'll see it again. The cymbals will be made again. It's just, just give it time. I hope that answers the question.
This is a question directly for Bill. Have you ever dealt with confidence issues while playing so many music?
Yeah. I mean, every musician has to deal with confidence issues. And, generally, it's especially a drummer. You need to be. I feel like drummers need to be confident. If they're not confident, you can hear like in their beat that they're not confident somehow. But some days, that's different on different days, actually. And also depending on who I'm playing with. Like, if it's someone that I haven't played with so much and I'm not as comfortable, then I tend to be a little less confident that this is going to go well, of course. But I don't know. I try to come prepared to the gig in whatever way I can. I try to come with good energy, there's some music to prepare or study, then I'll do that. So being prepared helps you be confident. Practice. Sometimes, a good stretch of practicing will make me more confident than if I haven't. Actually, sometimes practicing makes me less confident because I realize all the things I'm not doing well. But generally, it's a good thing.
What would be a Bill Stewart practice session?
It really varies a lot. Sometimes I just go in and start playing around with the drums and see where it goes. I can always find things to work on once I start playing. Once I start improvising, I'm like, that doesn't sound good, and then I start working on that. But other days I might go in with more of an agenda, like, I need to work on these kind of grooves, or maybe I just want to work on the brushes, or maybe I just want to work on playing the drums, or maybe I just want to take the ride cymbals and really play it. So it might vary on different days, but again, if there's some music that I need to prepare, like or something gigs coming up that I'm thinking about, then I might practice in a way that's sort of thinking about that. That prepares me for that gig.
Sorry, when I was part of the studio audience, I had a question. Why is 22-inch diameter the most popular size as a ride cymbal for jazz music? And I don't know that you know the answer to this, but I find it curious in my 20-plus years of making cymbals that the 22 was always the standard size, and I'm wondering why.
Maybe at one time it wasn't. It might have used to be in the 20, right? Oh, my best guess is Tony Williams. Because when Tony had that 22-inch cymbal in the 60s, that's what everybody thought about. And it had a deep sound, so when people think of getting a deep sound, they think of getting a bigger cymbal. So I think a lot of jazz drummers, they want that lower sound and a lower crash when they crash into it. So I think his influence must have had something to do with that development. Because a lot of people wanted to get that sound or get closer to that. That's my best guess.
Here's a question for you, Bill. RENARDVERT. Could you demonstrate the drum beat you played on Lone Jack?
I think that's just it's basically a samba. Fast. I don't know what. Yeah, I think the bass drum is sort of, almost like a samba, like. And whatever I put up top was, I'm trying to remember the tune too. But it was something like. It's got a center to it that's sort of in the bass drum, and then everything else kind of dances around it. So that's kind of how I thought of it.
Here's a question for Paul from J Drummer 20. Will Zildjian ever bring back the remix line?
That's a very good question. I won't say no. The most popular cymbal that was in that series was the breakbeat ride, which we folded into the A Zildjian series. You can sort of still get the EFX cymbal because that morphed into the 16-inch A custom EFX. I won't say that you'll never see them again, but like I said earlier with the earlier question, cymbals are cyclical, so it might take 10 again.